Hello, I put some FPV gear on the S800 Sky Shadow flying wing. This is a sort of a continuation from a previous video which I'll put a link to in the description. And I took it for a quick test flight just to see how bad the included camera was. And so this is going to be a pretty quick video because it was pretty bad as I suspected. So I just wanted to get this out of the way before I put a real camera on, maybe Runcam Eagle or something like that, and actually use it for FPV. So the included VTX doesn't really fit too conveniently in the little wing bay underneath the wing. So what I had to do was I cut out a little bit of this material here so that it could go sort of diagonally, and then this plug would be able to fit in easier, and also the antenna goes more directly through the hole. And then this piece here, I had to set this up myself, so this kit is not completely a plug and play kind of a thing. There's a little bit of soldering and wire joining that you'll probably have to do, because the wires that you get in the kit is just this piece here and then this piece here, and you sort of need to splice it in and somehow also connect some power in. So I used the JST, which I had the other side of the JST is already connected to the main power board in the plane, and I used my hot wire poking thingy to make a nice little hole in there. Incidentally, I didn't mention this in my other video, but I've got this hot wire poking tool thingy that I hardly ever use it, but whenever I do, it's really, really good. So I thought I'd just mention in case anyone was wondering how I managed to make such nice holes at exactly the right spot. And then between the back of the fuselage wall here and the back of the camera, or the front of that wall rather, I cut a piece of foam from one of the Runcam packaging boxes, and that fits in there just nicely, and I tacked it down with a little bit of CA there and there. It'll break away quite easily if I want to pull it out, but hopefully it should stop it from slipping out in flight. So the antenna I'm using here is not in the kit. This is one that I had already. I decided it wasn't really worth using the one that was in the kit, because it's one of those dipole whip antennas that are pretty hopeless for getting signal in all directions. So this one, I thought I'd use that straight away. Now, the way I stuck the plate on the bottom of this wing pod thingy, I just used a piece of packing tape to slap it straight on like that. And initially I had this tape as a solid block of tape, so there was no air able to get in and out of this area except for from this little hole around the antenna. And yes, you guessed it, didn't you? That's not a good idea, because it overheated quite quickly. I plugged it in and then I walked out into the field, and by the time I started flying, it probably would have been maybe a little over 2 minutes, and it already started to overheat. So that's what we're looking at here. There's a little bit of video there. This is what happens when it starts to overheat. So to fix that problem, I just sort of broke through the tape in all of these holes that are in the carbon fiber plate under the wing. And I didn't have any problems after that, although I think this transmitter has been damaged a little bit, because it's getting these very small black lines in the video as I'm flying, and it's a little bit hard to see perhaps in the YouTube rendering, but there's a couple of frames right at the beginning of this video, immediately after I turned the transmitter on. These black lines showed up quite badly just for a brief moment, so I'll show you that frame here and you can see what I mean. So it's not that bad throughout the video, but I think there's definitely some damage being done. But even with that problem, this video transmitter still performed pretty well. I could fly it no problem at all. I did not want to go out of line of sight range though, so I didn't go beyond about maybe 300, a bit over 300 meters. But it seems like the video transmitter itself is fine. The camera, on the other hand, so that's the main problem, and this is the reason why this video is going to be quite short. And here's the flight here, and you can see when I'm facing into the sun, just can't see anything at all. It's hopeless for flying. When you're facing away from the sun, it's not too bad. I found that if it's not this time of day, it's actually quite usable. So if you're flying in the middle of the day when the sun's directly overhead, I think that will be fine. But I wanted to test it at this time of day so that I could have a good excuse to change the camera as soon as possible, really. So that's what I'm going to be doing after this, and I guess I don't really have too much else to say, so I'll let a little bit more of this video play. But suffice to say that the camera that's included in the kit is not a very exciting one. In fact, most of this flight I ended up just flying line of sight after trying it for about 20 seconds or so in FPV, I just sort of gave up and just flew the rest of the battery in line of sight. Anyway, that's all for now. See ya.